Hello, sixth grade. Happy Wednesday morning. It's Tuesday afternoon as I film this. I just noticed that there's a slight delay while I talk. Hopefully, that's not too distracting during the video, but I've tried a couple times. I can't get it to fix. So, different pod day for you guys this week because of the short week. So, let's jump right in, make it quick, shall we? Just noticed at the end of last week, we're technically more than halfway through the school year, which is something to be celebrated. I am the first one to tell you this has not been a normal, easy school year on almost everybody. Okay, we've asked a lot of you guys. We've asked people to change lunches a few times. We've asked people to wear masks. And I would just have to say, 99% of you guys have been so awesome about wearing your mask and buying in on what we said the first day that, of course, no one likes it. We don't like it. Okay, but it is for the greater good. It is for the health and safety of everybody and the people that you may have at home. And it's a way to keep us in school. And we are so lucky to be in school this whole year. So walking through the hallways, I'm really super impressed that for the most part, you guys have all followed that. For the 1% that can't seem to do that, I'm not sure why at this point, but it is for the health and safety of everybody. It's a school rule. We appreciate that. But let's dwell on the 99%. So thank you guys for that. We look forward to, thankfully, the important work of learning in the classroom has continued, but you guys have lost a lot this year. Okay, assemblies, field trips, skills, which was very sad. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. With the vaccine getting more readily available, we feel like if not this spring, things will look a little bit more comfortable. We'll get back to, because we've had some fun this year, but maybe not as much as we would hope. So I just want to give you guys a shout out for thanks for getting through this so far with us, and we're over halfway there. So let's keep doing this. Yesterday, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day. Just a reminder that it just wasn't a free day off school. We were meant to perhaps try to do some service in his name or honor his legacy. You've probably connected his name to the I Have a Dream speech, which was certainly an important and iconic speech. But I know every year I've shared a clip of that, so I thought I'd give you some lesser known quotes. First one, the function of education is to teach one to think intensely and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. As teachers and educators, we're trying to get away from the days of just asking you to memorize stuff. Okay, we want you to think intensively, creatively, critically about the information we give you. How does it apply to you? How does it apply to your life? What can you do with that information? Okay, I think that's a good point by him, and also reminds us that no matter how much academic smarts you may have, it's nothing without integrity and character. So hopefully, it's part of the reason why we do these pod videos is being a good person is even more important than being a smart person. And I like this short but sweet one. The time is always ripe to do right. He put aside elements of his life to try to fight for racial equality in this country and made a lot of great progress. And eventually it cost him his life. But he's saying, hey, I should probably be nicer to that kid, or I've always wanted to stand up for so-and-so, or I was a little rude to that teacher, or whatever it may be. If you have the idea or the urge to do something that feels like the right thing to do, don't wait. Do it today. Okay? So there's some quotes for MLK Day to help you celebrate. And let's move on to the lesson for the day. Last week, if you remember right, we talked about the Tumor twins, which this was the end of habit 4. Think win-win. Okay, we're hoping to realize that it's not a lifestyle of competition, that everybody can share in a pie of success, but comparison and competition, those are the Tumor twins, can get in the way of that paradigm or mindset. If you're saying like, how come I don't have this, or how come she looks cuter when she wears that, or whatever it may be, don't let that be a tumor. And competition can be good and a healthy thing unless you let it consume you. So those are two things that make it in the way of thinking win-win. So we're cruising right through the 7 habits of highly successful people. We've already learned that you need to be proactive and know that you are in charge of your life. You focus on what you can control and try to not stress about the rest. You are the driver of the car of your life. Speaking of car, you better have an idea of where you're heading in life. So you need to begin with the end in mind. Where is that car taking you? What is your big goals, your big ideas for where you're heading? Since you already know the end destination, you've decided what sort of person or life goals you want to pursue, we better think about time management and putting first things first, okay? So that's your big rocks, always knowing where you should go. And then we moved into recently the public victory, dealing with other people. You got to do that. And starting with that mindset, that paradigm of thinking win-win, that was habit 4, which brings us to habit 5, y'all. It has a long a long name, unfortunately. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. How about we shorten it to listen first, talk second? One that a habit that I'm trying to work on still because I feel like this is one of my weaker areas. Okay, so let's get into what it means. Habit 5, shall we? With a partner in your homeroom out there, as I speak through time and space and the internet to you, just ask them if they feel like you're a good listener. And then you can talk about if listening is important, why or why not. Okay. If they don't know you super well, maybe they wouldn't know if you're a good listener. But if they're your friend, which you probably have some friends in your homeroom, they would know. Okay. So teachers, maybe you want to push pause for just a minute or so and have these guys talk about these prompts just to get us started on what it means to be a good listener. And teachers, go ahead and pause at this time. I'll be frozen for just a second. Frozen. Hi, my daughter's over there. Hi. I thought she was laughing at me, but she wasn't. Okay, hopefully I had a chance to discuss those. So let's move on. So habit 5, listen first, talk second. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them accordingly. I think that's nice, meaning you should be using these things more often because there's a dose of them as opposed to this one. Habit 5 is the key to good communication. Master this habit, and it will open a whole new world of understanding for you. Very good habit for sure. You may not know that word, communication. You probably do. The sending and receiving of information between 2 or more people. Oh my goodness, probably one of the most important skills or aspects of human life, just the ability to communicate and to hear others and say, and you've probably had that happen to you before when you say, this is what I really meant and they misunderstood. We don't really have time for this story, but because what I had planned later kind of gets canceled, I'll share this with you. I just thought of it, and here's why it's important. Yes, we want to be heard. Okay, we want to, I don't know, I can make it bigger. Forge and maintain relationships, and then succeed in school and the workplace. If you are a shy person, and I know that's hard, eventually you do have to be a communicator. But communication is all encompassing. Body language, listening, it's not just the ability to talk, but pretty darn important. So this frustration of not being able to express yourself, you may have felt that before when you're saying, no, this is what I meant, and they just weren't understanding. So when I was a youngster, really young, and I honestly don't know if I remember this story or just remember my mom's version of it, but I asked for something one day, and I still have a bit of a speech impediment, but it was much worse back then. And I was asking for something, and she didn't know what it was, okay? And so I wanted these little crackers, and I kept asking for them, and she said, "What are you saying?" And it sounded weird to her, and she said, "Tyler, you can't say that, or I'm going to have to wash your mouth out with soap." Well, she did eventually wash my mouth out with soap, and I went and got her the crackers I wanted, and they were Ritz Bits crackers. If you know Ritz, and they're bits like small ones, but she thought I was saying Rich Bits something else, right? I won't swear on this video because you could show your parents. But I remember just being so mad, like, how come she doesn't understand? And then to this day, my mom feels really bad because she washed my mouth out with soap just because I was wanting some crackers. So if I see her, I said, "Hey, Mom, you got any Ritz Bits around?" But that's an example, funny story of when you can't be understood. Now, being understood and expressing yourself verbally and being heard is the next part of this lesson. But remember, we have to seek first to listen. Unfortunately, if we were together, we would be doing some role playing right now. Okay, like these guys that are doing some role playing in like a Renaissance type stuff. I wish maybe you guys are into that sort of thing, cosplay, if you will. If we were together, I would be asking for volunteers to help with this. And I asked Mrs. Schaefer, my wife, if she was available to film this pod video with me, and she was not. She had a busy schedule. I don't think she wanted to be on the video. So look at those sods. Just a second, sis. I'm almost done. So the reason why we usually get volunteers, there we go, is I wanted to demonstrate for you 5 bad listening styles or poor listening styles before we try to have some other ones. So here is the first one. And my wife could probably tell you that I've been guilty of all of these at one point, so I can help you. So be aware, because sometimes your friends or your teachers or somebody may be saying something important to you and you need to listen first. So there's spaced out or distracted listening. These guys are on their phone. They're not paying attention. If you've ever seen a face on your dad where maybe they're just kind of Okay, or they're watching TV or something. Okay, just a second. That's spaced out distract, and it's pretty obvious because there's no eye contact. People can tell you're not paying attention. Two, pretend listening, and I think I put pretend because this kid's pretending to be a superhero. Lots of nodding. Yeah. Maybe as students, you've perfected that when teachers are lecturing and your eyes are there, so they can't see that you're distracted. But maybe in your brain, you're just thinking about all sorts of things. So this is going through the motions and showing signs of nodding or yeah, But if somebody said yeah, okay, what was I talking about? You might, I don't know, because you were pretend listening. Watch out for that one. Selective listening. I am bad about that. So some people may listen to a story, but really they're just waiting for something that's interesting to them. So someone could be talking to me about, I don't know what things that are uninteresting to me. Sometimes opera. I don't know anything about opera, right? Oh yeah, I went to the opera. But if they mention one of my favorite sports teams or some goofy movie that I like, I'd be like, huh? So some people even don't even pay attention. I don't know. I said even so many times until their name is mentioned. So it's almost like I just want to hear what's interesting to me. So this is just I'm catching part of it, but only what's interesting to me. All right. The next one, words only. Oh, this is a good one. And I don't know what's happening in this one. It looks like maybe people are waiting for an audition. I don't know what to put there. But if somebody comes to you and maybe they're saying sarcastically, like, hey, I had a great day today. Oh my gosh, yeah, one of the best days ever. They're clearly being sarcastic, but you could miss all the other signs. This might be body language. Maybe that's why I have it on here. Body language, right? This guy looks a little stressed. He looks angry or bored. She's thinking. This girl got the hots for him. He's distracted. Okay, so there's so much more to listening than just the words. People's tone. And I think I've done some stuff where you can say the same thing in different tones and it can mean something much different. You know, that tone when your parents are mad at you and they say your name, listen to their tone, not just their words. Okay, so that's another aspect of poor listening. And then the last one, self-centered listening, which is characterized by one-upping, judging, or advising. Husbands are bad about these things. This one, okay? One-upping is if somebody said, hey, I went fishing this weekend and I caught a really big fish. And someone's like, oh yeah, well, I caught a shark. Okay. Or, hey, I scored 3 goals in the soccer game. Oh, I scored 4. There's even a Saturday Night Live character about that. Super annoying because just be happy for the person or listen to what they're saying. Judging, like, oh, why did you do that? Or advising, got to watch out for that one. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They don't need to say, well, what you should do is. Okay, so that's really about you and your stories and your judgment and your advising. You're not listening to them. Okay, after all that, and I'm sorry we can't do the role playing. It would have been better. What's good listening after all that, Mr. Schaefer? Well, thank you for asking, class, on the video. So, good listening means probably close the mouth for a little bit. Okay, just let them have their space. Don't wait for your turn to talk because you're not actually listening. Okay, close the mouth for a bit. Certainly, you listen with your ears. Okay, but I think maybe do I have eyes on here? Eyes and ears. Okay, yeah, there you go. I have a flex class right now, and I could just kind of go through some of this with some of these guys. I can tell that their ears are with me, their eyes are with me, their mouth's closed. So if you just say mouth, ears, eyes, one more body part that goes into listening that you wouldn't necessarily think of. The heart, okay? Because this is like biologically mouth closed, ears perked up, eyes on the speaker. That's what you need to actually intake the information. But the heart comes in. I think there might be one more part of this. All right. So when you actually have a chance to talk, you might say, like clarifying, like, so what you're saying is, or do you mean this, or anything that you're legitimately confused about. You could restate and just say, like, okay, is this really what you're saying? And then eventually think about it. Why are they talking to you about this? What are they after? Are they after sympathy? Do they really want your advice? Okay, but that's where you go from kind of just listening to like, hear me. Do you hear me? And that's all that we want. A basic human need is to be understood. So let's let everybody else go first most of the time and seek to listen before we always just wait for our turn to talk. But we listen with our mouths closed, our ears, eyes, and hearts open to the true message behind the words and what those people are trying to tell you. Okay? That will help you develop a pretty good habit in this regard. So, thought to end on from the Dalai Lama. When you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. but if you listen, you may learn something new. I like that. Okay, the words that coming out of your mouth blah, blah, are already up here, and they're just coming out. But every person that you meet, which is another quote somewhere, I don't know by who, has a chance to teach you something. And sometimes if you're flapping your gums, you might miss that. So remember, habit 5, as you're working with others, you already know that we can work together and think win-win. But when there's a problem at hand, an issue, listen first, talk second, and life will be a lot better for you. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Have a good one.